Tamata wakatangi hangi kuwe uwo tamataya tuli puka kapiki monga hora nuku poka wena wakatana tahu mataku waitanga nuru kawa mikitora.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Naughty Potato podcast. This is episode 7. And today, I have two very special, and I mean special, guests. Introduce yourselves. I'll start with the handsome fellow with the glasses.
I'm not talking about that guy. He said handsome, Eric. Be quiet.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. People know me as Hoss. You can check out my YouTube channel. That's Atticade. That's Atticade. And that's pretty chill. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I'm very straight.
Debatable.
Alright.
I prefer not to use my real name. I'm not racist. That is all.
Am I picking up some double speak here?
Today, we're talking about Point Break, because these two fellas, they have some differing opinions about Point Break. Okay, let's, how about you say your pieces? I'll start with, the handsome fella again, you know. No homo.
Wow, get owned, Eric.
Okay.
So, my take on Point Break is I personally think it's a philosophical masterpiece, which heavily involves action. It talks a lot about the roles men have in society now, and I believe it is very not homosexual. I'm gonna leave it at that, alright?
Okay.
I enjoy the hell out of Point Break. It's a very fun, very dumb 90s action movie. You got Patrick Swayze being cool. You got Keanu Reeves trying to act and failing. You have Gary Busey doing Gary Busey's thing. It's not like gonna reinvent the wheel, but it's a fun time. It's also very gay, like very, very gay. Like on a scale of like 1 to 10, it's like a solid 9. So not quite as gay as like Fight Club, but still pretty gay.
But not that there's anything wrong with that.
Oh, of course not, dude.
Okay. Because, I mean, you're racist, but you're not a homophobe, right?
I'm not racist, nor am I a homophobe. Also, yes, if anything, the gay angle of Point Break adds to the viewing experience. It makes it a much more interesting film.
Okay. Haas, what do you think about Point Break? Is it gay?
I do not believe it's gay in the slightest. I think Eric is confused about how male relationships are supposed to work because he doesn't have any friends. So when he sees two people who, interact with each other, who both happen to have penises, he projects gayness onto it.
Okay.
I mean, I do have male friends, and never once has that male friend told me...
Name one.
Danny Long. So, never once has any of my male friends told me, you want me, Eric. It's like acid in your mouth.
I know it's hard for you, Johnny. I know you want me so bad it's like acid in your mouth.
Acid in your mouth?
Gay. It's very, very gay.
I don't know. Haas?
Well, here's my opinion. I think it's very not gay. It's referring to a biological function that Eric doesn't understand because he doesn't do sports. But one thing you have to remember is that Point Break... Eric, it's my turn. Point Break is a very high-octane, masculine action film about two athletes. And when he says acid in your mouth, that's just some pretty clever banter referring to the lactic acid buildup that comes in someone's mouth when they're exerting themselves with a lot of exercise. And it's kind of a little bit of a double entendre in the sense that, all of Johnny Utah's goals in the movie, they're not around being a good FBI agent. They're about beating Bodhi because they have a rivalry. And I'm going to start speaking a little bit from personal experience here, and I'm very straight, so I'm credible. I did a lot of sports. I wrestled, I played basketball, I ran track. And track's a great example. I had a lot of very good competitive rivalries that got me a lot closer to people. And when you're sprinting and you're running your heart out and you're running like you're gonna die and all of your muscles are aching and burning, you feel it in your mouth too. Those lactic acids build up in your mouth. They build up everywhere. So he's describing this like burning desire to win. It has nothing to do with sex. I don't even know how you can even eroticize the idea of acid in your mouth because that's a painful feeling. He's just trying to reference like Johnny's desperation to win, but that Johnny's not going to win. He's not going to get what he wants. That's what that line's about. It has nothing to do with sex. That's my
I just got a screenshot of what happens immediately after that line. I have it pulled up. I'm gonna take the no response as a yes. So this is what happens immediately after. This is the next image of Bodhi and Johnny after he says Johnny wants Bodhi. Right here.
Whoa.
Yes. See,
Yeah.
this is it very much looks like they're about to kiss.
Is that the Mein Kampf I see in your next tab?
Oh, Eric,
Oh,
no.
Eric, come on, buddy. Not on my podcast.
So anyway, you get the gist. Like, look at this image. It very much looks like the sexual tension between these two has built and built and built. Oops, wrong
But
thing.
does context matter? Haas, does context matter?
I think it very much does matter. We have to remember is what's happening in this scene is
They're about to
Tyler,
kiss.
Johnny Utah's Eric, please. I've been very respectful when it's your turn, okay? I'd appreciate it if you could show that same respect towards me, okay? We're intellectuals here. Anyways, we have to remember the context. Johnny Utah's girlfriend has been kidnapped. Bodhi is the only guy who can free her so that Johnny can actually, save her life. And what's happening here is Bodhi just abandoning Johnny. He's fleeing the country. He's going to Mexico, and he's taken all the parachutes, so Johnny doesn't have a way to follow him. But Johnny, he's not going to lose. He's got that kamikaze look in his eyes, right? As they talk about all throughout the movie. He's a crazy son of a bitch. He's radical as hell. And he jumps out of that airplane to chase Bodhi. And, of course he's going to grab onto Bodhi, because if he doesn't, he'll die, because he doesn't have a parachute. Like, what does Eric want Johnny Utah to do? To just stay on the plane and wait for them to land and just let Tyler be kidnapped and, and just lose to Bodhi, just go their separate ways? Or does he want Johnny Utah to jump out of the plane and then miss Bodhi and not grab onto Bodhi and then just fall and plummet and hit the ground like a fucking rock and die because he doesn't have a parachute? The only way for him to survive that scene is to grab Bodhi. And he's only so close to him because there's nowhere else for him to go. Like that's a ludicrous argument.
The logic of him doing that. I'm not arguing that's an illogical move, but I'm arguing the shot that director Catherine Bigelow shows very much makes it seem like Bodhi and Johnny are about to kiss mid-freefall. She did not have to use that close-up, much like she did not have to show off the male body as frequently as she does in this film, because I swear to God, 50% of this movie involves buff dudes with no shirts, soaking wet.
Almost like they're surfers or something. And
I'm aware of that.
surf in suits. And Eric, I disagree about the shot composition because, why would you use like a medium shot for two people screaming at each other's faces while they're skydiving? What you have to remember is that it has to be a very personal shot because you have two people when they're skydiving. You have to scream to hear each other. You cannot just like hear somebody as all the air is ruffling past you and you're falling at like 100-something miles an hour and you're reaching terminal velocity. It's a very personal shot. They're screaming at each other. It's the only way they can communicate. And the camera being up close, it's just helping us understand like the claustrophobia in that scene.
You could have. There's what claustrophobia? They're falling in the air. There's the most open.
I know, but it's an intense moment between the two of them. And like again, they're falling in the air, but where else are they gonna go? Like,
But you can do that.
Eric, do you think that the dialogue?
Make it look like
Do you think that the dialogue would be nearly as effective if the camera was like 40 feet away and you can't even see either of the actors? You have to see their expressions. You have to understand the intensity. And it's just the same as you have to be near somebody when you're skydiving to hear them. She's doing the same thing. She's just putting us in that moment because you have to be near somebody. That's the only reason. It's not to make it look like they're gonna kiss or something. And quite frankly, I never got that impression when I watched the movie. I'm just saying.
all I'm saying is, though, again, what I'm saying is, why have them positioned like that? Why have them positioned and make it look like they're gonna kiss? Why not, say, have Johnny on Bodhi's back from behind? Why not, I don't know, do a medium shot of them shouting where Johnny's a little above Bodhi as he's falling down. You don't need to do that shot composition that does make it look like they're about to kiss. It looks almost beat for beat like the kind of close-up you would do to show two characters kissing. And this is after the very sexually charged line, "You know you want me, Johnny. It's like acid in your mouth."
Eric, you really think that it would be best if Johnny Utah landed on Bodhi's back? Because how does the parachute open if he is sitting on top of it? That doesn't make any sense.
That is very true. That is very true. I admit that. That is a flaw in my thinking. But I feel like there's another way you could have that kind of intensity without having it make it look like their lips are nearly on, like, their lips are nearly on top of each other. It very much feels like they're about to kiss. I'm sorry.
I don't see there being any sexual tension in the scene where there's already so much dramatic tension with, again, his girlfriend being kidnapped under threat of death and they're falling hundreds of miles from the sky. I really doubt the last thing on any normal audience member's mind or the director's mind or the character's minds is that they want to have a sexually charged moment as they're plummeting to their deaths. I just don't agree. That doesn't make any logical sense.
It's funny you bring up.
It's not portrayed that way. I don't agree with your point that they could have just done a medium shot. It's like I said, I don't think that it captures the intensity of the moment the same.
Well, it's very funny though that you bring up the girlfriend because again, this article that was written, this article that was written for Real3.com by Anthony Monzi. It's a pretty decent read, all things considered. It makes it something that I never picked up, but it's very true. It's only after Utah has discovered that Tyler, his girlfriend, with whom Keanu Reeves shares no chemistry with, used to be Bodhi's woman, that any kind of intimate relationship between them begins. It seems to be the idea that because this woman has had a previous relationship with Bodhi is the only reason he has any kind of attraction to her. Because again, they don't have chemistry at all. Like, no, none, zilch. But it would make more. He has more chemistry, is sexual or otherwise, with Patrick Swayze than he does with the girl who plays Tyler.
Is that true, though? Haas, what do you think?
Do you think they have chemistry?
I don't. Eric?
Who has more chemistry with Johnny Utah, Bodhi or Tyler? And may I add that Tyler is a woman in this movie, but that's a boy's name. Tyler's a boy's name. And she has a kind of a short haircut.
To answer his point,
yeah.
Chemistry, I think we have to be careful about how we use that term. Because how are we going to define it? Because, I'll be honest, I've had bros, and I've been better friends with my bros than I have been with girls I've dated. And so I don't think that Johnny Utah and Bodhi have any sexual chemistry at all. I think they have very good chemistry as rivals and as friends. I don't think they have any sexual chemistry. And I also don't agree when you say that he has no chemistry with Tyler at all, because I do think that they are very playful with each other. You have to understand that their relationship kind of started with the surfing scene when they first met. He just goes out and surfs, and she basically saves him from drowning. And then she gives him a lot of shit, and then she keeps giving him more shit later when he confronts her at the restaurant or whatever she works at. But she gets a lot of sympathy for him, especially because of his story that he bullshitted. But they do grow close over time, and you understand that they did have a very close relationship when you watch the scene where she's taking care of him, tending to his wounds after the fight with Bodhi when he caught him red-handed during a bank heist. And
I'd argue.
Yeah, I was just going to say to finish. No, it's cool. I'm just going to finish up. And there's definitely a lot of regret with Utah when she finds out that he was lying to her about that. When he didn't reveal that he was an FBI agent. She's obviously very upset because they did have an important relationship where they did build up a certain amount of trust. And he's also upset that she left. And you can argue that maybe they didn't have enough screen presence together, but I would kind of attribute that more to Keanu's kind of terrible acting. And also, you can definitely tell that he's very upset and torn apart on the inside when Bodhi shows Utah the video in the back of his van of Rosie tied up with a knife to her. Tyler tied up with Rosie holding a knife to her throat. He's very visibly upset. He does care about her, and that's obvious. I think the whole point of the movie is that he cares more about winning than anything else in his life. And I can demonstrate that more if you want. But that's my belief, is that that relationship is important to him. His relationship with Bodhi is more important, but it's not a sexual relationship of any kind. It's a rivalry. And it's a kind of rivalry you only get through athleticism. It's something like the warrior tribal mindset that you see in athletes, and that's where a lot of men's close bonds come from. Yeah, that's how I would answer that.
See, the thing is, though, with Tyler, one, I think if there's one thing and only one thing we can agree on in terms of our interpretation of this film, it's that Keanu Reeves is not very good in this movie. He's endearingly bad. He is endearingly bad in this. But
he's the worst part of the movie, but I can't see it without him. That's how I put it.
Yeah, I agree. He's quotable. He's certainly quotable in this. But despite him having the emotional range of a plank of wood in this film, he is able to have very good chemistry with Bodhi, despite the fact that, and he actually doesn't have bad, like, this isn't sexual, like, legit, he has good buddy chemistry with Gary Busey in the film. Yet, it's only with Tyler, the only woman in this film, and the woman he's supposed to be romantically attracted with, that there is absolutely no chemistry on his part. I don't argue that she's interested in him, but, again, if you look at it, their first, sexual encounter is only after his intimate surf night with Bodhi, and that, to me, seems to see that his relationship with Tyler is more just him fulfilling what he wants to be with Bodhi. And I'd argue that he feels bad because he feels like he used her, and when she's kidnapped, he feels like this is his fault. It's not because I think he cares about her, but I don't think it's romantic. And I think he just cares about her as a fellow human being, not as like a romantic partner.
Well, see, I will agree. I think that their relationship is very superficial, and I think that's kind of the point. And a question I propose to you is, how does the superficiality of his relationship with Tyler define him as a gay person? Because a lot of people have very superficial relationships in their lives, for a variety of reasons, and that still ends up being emotionally heavy for people, even if they were never really fully involved in the first place.
Because he's obsessed with another man, a man who he wants to put in his mouth.
That
is not what he said.
Speaking of man, there's a scene where they are about to skydive, and he says, Johnny Utah says, "Are we gonna jump or jerk off?" And then Bodhi laughs and says, "That's my man."
You're gonna jump or jerk off. That's my man.
So I don't know about
See,
that.
that's pretty gay.
The context of that scene is that all of those guys, this is right after Johnny Utah kind of messed up one of their bank heists. So everybody knows him, and everybody kind of hates him except for Bodhi at this point. And they're all just fucking with him. They're all just trading shoots on the plane, because this is the first time Bodhi took Utah skydiving. So they're all saying, "Oh no, Bodhi's pack job is terrible. Take young grommets over here." And they keep switching around, all just fucking with him. And Johnny Utah is the very do or die. He just does things impulsively kind of character. So he's saying this jump or jerk off. He's just saying that they're wasting their fucking time. And I've used that exact same phrase before tons of times. I've heard it tons of times in my life. When you're just saying that somebody's jerking off, it's just they're not doing anything. They're just wasting air, just saying bullshit. And all he's saying is that he just wants to go. And when Bodhi is saying that's my man, he's just appreciating how radical Utah is, and he's never outside. He's so sick of these guys just pestering him, and he just wants to fucking jump out of the plane and get it over with. And that's what Bodhi respects about him, the kamikaze attitude that Utah has. That's what he's applauding there. It has nothing to do with masturbating. I think Eric reads too much into all of these lines.
I didn't bring it up. Ross did.
No, yeah, I don't know. That's true.
Who,
Sorry.
me?
I think Ross is gay. Confirmed.
No, I'm not gay. I just have gay tendencies. All right, so I heard that there was a poll recently, and not 50 people, 100 people, 1 million people. No, 6 people. That's impressive, my dear. Now, let's share this poll.
Let's see what you can do during the pandemic, my friend.
I could interview all 200 of my subscribers, I gotta say, But
I don't have that many.
I have more than you, I bet.
Well, yeah, you're Atticade.
Yeah,
what can I say? Yeah. So
Okay, I'm gonna move my.
So share that poll, my dude. Oh, and he's gone.
1 minute. So I asked around 6 people, one of whom is a gay man who has seen Point Break, and they all said that either the line "I want you, you want me," it's like acid in your mouth, is gay no matter what the context, and the gay man who had seen the film did say it was gay. Now, granted, again, it's a very small percent, very, 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 very small percentage of the population, but it's just a nice little, for me, it's a nice little extra tiny nugget of information that I believe, and also the fact that I found a lot of articles dedicated to how gay this movie is.
May I interject? I don't even see the point in talking about this anymore because I already made my points about that scene very clear.
Okay.
So, are we gonna
Should we move
debate or
on?
jerk off?
Whoa!
Get jump or jerk off.
Oh, all right.
We don't have any proof that he's wearing pants on the other side. He could be naked.
It's possible. Whoa! This is PG. You're gonna get me flagged. There's a scene where Johnny Utah goes on this big chase. He's chasing Bodhi after Bodhi robbed a bank or whatever, and he's chasing him. And then he has the chance to shoot him. He has him in his sights. And he looks into his eyes. And he goes like, "Arr!" And he shoots up in the air a bunch of times. Unloads the whole magazine into the air. Why didn't he shoot him, Eric? Why do you think?
Well, I think it's because, one, he blows his load 6 times when he sees Bodhi.
What?
But no, I believe because he's chasing Bodhi. It's actually pretty well done chase scene. Like, legitimately, as silly as Point Break is, Catherine Bigelow is an amazing action director, and she can film a chase scene. So he's running after Bodhi, and Bodhi jumps it, and he looks into Bodhi's eyes. He looks into the windows of the soul and sees this is the man he loves, and he can't bring it in him to kill his one true love. So instead, he vents his anger by pointing a pistol in the air or revolver and firing it all 6 times to release as a release for the sexual tension of the moment and his anger and falling in love with a man he can never be with.
That's cute. What do you think, Haas?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem amused, I have to say.
I don't agree that that scene is homoerotic in the slightest. I think a lot of people would maybe be conflicted about murdering one of their closest friends. Hell,
They've known each other for 2 weeks.
Okay, if you wanna make this 2 weeks argument, I'll make this argument with you because I think it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
There is a certain level, as I've said before, there's definitely like a certain level of camaraderie that men can develop through athleticism and dangerous experiences. You know, they're surfing all the time, which is actually a very dangerous sport, especially going night surfing. That's incredibly dangerous. So many people drown doing that. And let's remember, Johnny Utah got the shit beat out of him by like 4 guys, and Bodhi stepped in and helped them, and they beat up some people together. That's always a good bonding moment, beating the shit out of a group of people. I know a thing or two about that because I've seen a thing or two. No, I just think that you can develop a good camaraderie with somebody pretty quickly through shared experiences, especially ones that of such intensity as violence and surfing. I don't think it's unrealistic at all that having known him for 2 weeks, he would be conflicted about murdering somebody because, you know, even if he only knew him a day, the fact that he knows him at all should make it harder to kill somebody. Most people don't like to murder people. That's just kind of how it is. And especially, you know, he's also fleeing. There's nothing brave about shooting a guy dead. And also, to the point of him being a cop, it's been well established throughout the movie that Johnny Utah does not care about being an FBI agent. We know his background. His background is he always did things for other people. He played football because his dad wanted him to, went to law school because his parents wanted him to, but he never takes the FBI seriously. There are so many scenes where he gives his boss, Ben Harp, so much shit all the time. 2 minutes in his first day, he's giving him mad shit. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about protocol. And I thought about that scene in particular. I looked at it really closely. I wrote a lot about it when I was watching it. I remember it pretty well. So when Ben Harp is introducing Johnny Utah to the firm, Johnny Utah keeps interrupting Ben Harp every time Ben Harp talks about like FBI statistics, and he cuts him off and he says the statistics himself because he's very familiar with the data. We know that he finished in the top 2% of his class in Quantico, which is the FBI training facility in Virginia, which is very rigorous, very tough. So you know that he's a very good, very intelligent agent, and he does not give a shit about the job because he keeps fucking with his boss. He shows up to work. He brings his surfboard into the office wearing like a tank top and shorts. Like, he does not give a shit about it. And everything he does in that job is either just to piss off his boss or to get the ex-presidents. And you hear Angelo say as much when they're doing when they're investigating the drop car. When he says, "Oh, you're just a hotshot. You just want to, nail the big bank robbers and be a hero. Is that it?" And he says, "Yeah." Like, that's all he gives a shit about. And you realize he just does not care about being a good FBI agent. He doesn't care about protocol. He doesn't care about crunching data. He just cares about action, because that's the only thing he even gives a shit about, because he's a manly guy. So, it might not be protocol for him to let him get away, but for a guy who doesn't care about protocol, it's pretty easy to choose a friend's life over doing your job. You know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't give a shit about it.
All right. Eric, what do you think?
I get what you're saying. Johnny most certainly wants to nail Bodhi. But
pun intended.
Yeah, this goes back to the filmmaking of Catherine Bigelow. Again, it's another interesting thing she does with the close-up. I'm going to screen share again. And because there's this, give it a sec. It's right here. She does this very close-up shot in his eye, on the eyes. It just makes the scene feel more romantic. It's not like he sees his friend, he turns around, he can't do it. He looks straight into his eyes, and he can't shoot him. It just, for some reason...
Yeah, but Haas just said they're friends.
Yes, but okay,
they're like good friends.
Establish that without having the romantic close-up of his wounded, innocent eyes looking, of them having, a meaningful...
This isn't me taking a side, but in a filmmaking standpoint, you can't see any other part of Bodhi's face except his eyes, and it's more dramatic to show his eyes through the mask, because then he sees oh, it's Bodhi,
If I may interject,
you could do it's sillier. If you wanted to make it more dramatic, you could have the mask fall off, and he sees it's Bodhi, and then he can't shoot him. I
have the feeling you'll make the same argument. Even if
I probably would, but I'd have a much more difficult time making it, because it's not this extreme close-up of the man's... It's not this extreme close-up of his, of them sharing meaningful eye contact. That's something I see couples doing.
Yeah, Ross, can I take over for you here?
Yeah, sure, Haas. Go ahead.
First, obviously,
go at
Ross already said, that's the only part of Bodhi's face we can even see. So...
But why,
and it's not a matter of showing his eyes being some romantic thing. It just humanizes him. Because if you see him from 40 feet away, he's just some little stick figure with a Ronald Reagan mask. There's no personality in that. You have to humanize him. You have to make this moment, because showing the close-up shows that Johnny sees him for the person he is, not as just this criminal stick figure in the background, not our cardboard cutout he's shooting on the range.
But why not?
It has to humanize Bodhi to ground the scene.
But why not do a medium shot? I understand that. But from the storytelling perspective, you could easily just rewrite the script to where the mask falls up, you see a medium shot of Bodhi, then maybe you go to a close-up, not an extreme close-up of the eyes, but a close-up of his face, you see him, and then Bodhi shoot his friend. But
no, that's just silly, Eric. No, I'm not even going to entertain that. Okay, first of all, how
calm down.
Fall off. That doesn't make any sense. How does his mask just fall off? And two, if his mask just falls off while he's in the middle of a suburban area with hundreds, if not thousands of people that could potentially witness him, and he's just running around without a mask, how could he possibly get away? You can't write it so that he just runs around the city without a mask, or just inexplicably falls off for no reason while he's climbing a fence. There is no reason for that to happen. That's just absurd. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
You can write in a reason. This whole movie's absurd. It's about bank robbing surfers who...
Does absurd equal gay?
Absurd equal... In this case, yes. Not always, but here. Yes, it's very gay. Well, you can't deny that this movie is endearingly stupid in terms of its plot. Again...
I don't agree. Wait, I thought this was interesting. I kind of want to talk about a point Eric made earlier when he talks about the movie being too absurd or whatever. I don't entirely agree, because I think that the movie is actually grounded in its action, in the sense that there are always very real consequences for every action scene. Like, a lot of people die. There's no cartoon logic when it comes to any of the interactions between people. People like die or get seriously injured all the time. So I feel like it's grounded by the action, because every action scene is perfectly plausible. So when Eric says something like, well, the movie's already absurd, so it wouldn't be absurd if they were just fist fighting and his mask falls up. Like, that's cartoon logic. That's like punching SpongeBob and he comes flying out of his socks. Like, that's not a thing that realistically happens. I don't think that you can make the argument that because the movie's absurd, you're allowed to just do dumb shit, because the action is the not absurd part of the movie.
It's pretty
all
out there. There's this scene where Bodhi like lights a match and then sprays gasoline over it, and it's cool. It's a really cool image. And yes, it can theoretically happen, but it looks ridiculous. Like, it's ridiculously cool.
He's been doing that for no reason. He's burning the car they switched out of so that they don't leave behind DNA evidence. It happens in real life too.
The same thing with a lot less effort. Just light a match, you throw it in the fuel tank, and you're done.
The car might explode right in front of you.
Yeah, I don't think his plan was to explode an entire car and gas station. Because remember, Bodhi hates violence. I don't think he wants to commit a terrorist atrocity in the center of a city.
He's robbing banks with loaded weapons. He really does not like give a shit if he hurts people.
That's
I don't
completely untrue. He says so himself later in the movie. We're in the back of the van after you see the video of Rosie with Tyler. Bodhi says, "I hate violence, man. I can't do it. Don't you see? I need Rosie to do this." He does not like violence. He does not like hurting people. He regrets every violent interaction. Remember, dude, when it comes to robbing banks, he says it himself. It's just dog psychology. You get them pissing down their leg and they'll submit and they won't do anything, and then you don't have to hurt them. That's the whole idea. He doesn't believe in violence. That's why he has Rosie. You know, he says Rosie's like a mechanism. You know, Rosie's obviously sociopathic and violent, and he needs Rosie because he cannot be violent himself. That's the whole point. He doesn't believe in violence.
If Rosie's violent on his behalf, then he has no problem on violence. It's like, it's not like he's saying I'm physically incapable. He's saying I don't like it, but I'm fine with ordering someone else to be violent towards someone else. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't fly.
No, okay, no, it absolutely does fly, because the only time he has Rosie do something violent is when he has Rosie, like, tie up Tyler and shit. And you have to remember, Bodhi does not plan on Tyler dying or getting hurt. Bodhi's whole plan is he's just using that as leverage so he can get to Mexico and Tyler gets let go. And he knows that nothing's going to stop that, because he knows that Johnny cares about it. He knows that nothing will stop that. He knows that Tyler won't get hurt. He just did not even have the capacity in himself to just kidnap her, because he cannot do violent things to you. He just does not believe in that.
But, like, he's still kidnapping a woman. He's not, like, that's an inherently violent act.
It's desperate times call for desperate measures. He's doing what he has to do to get over the border, but he knows she'll be safe. He knows that's how it's going to work out.
Wouldn't it, like, cause less violence? Less violence would have happened if he had just shot Bodhi then and there. Like, kill Bodhi.
What?
Then Tyler would die. Good thinking, because that's exactly what Johnny Utah wants.
What? No, I mean Johnny. I mean shoot Johnny. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, right. No, now we're going back to the whole it should be easy to shoot your best friend thing. I've already
All right.
Look,
I think we're talking about things that aren't about homosexuality.
You're right. We're getting off course.
20 minutes later.
He comes across as this passive milquetoast guy.
No,
so
that's...
what I see.
Whoa.
What I see is a
surprise
guy
guest.
doing
Shut the fuck up, Eric.
What's your question, soldier?
Soldier. Show us one of your nice little photos, Eric. Probably photoshopped.
Is this in any way, shape, or form gay?
I mean, I'm not gonna say they look like they're kissing, but they look like they're kissing.
And what about this? How does this remind you of anything?
Yeah, it reminds me of my last Saturday.
Oh my god.
God.
The top
It's kind of gay.
Yeah, not cool. Not cool, bro.
Jesus, and I have a question though. Are those two images made more or less gay if the last line before them is, "You know you want me, Johnny. It's like acid in your mouth."
It is
I
made
already
pretty gay.
explained that line.
I have a question though, Jesus.
Explain that line. Why are we going back in circles?
Well, hold on. 'Cause, Jesus. But if there's context, is it still gay?
I mean, it depends on the context.
Okay, Haas, this is your turn.
Context.
Haas,
Is there
explain the
any
context.
to make that not seem
Yeah,
gay?
I'm explaining it right now, bro. Okay.
Just in a sentence, because we've already gone over this.
Okay, yeah. So, Jesus, basically what's happening right now is Bodhi has forced him in this position where he's going to land in Mexico, and he deliberately did not bring enough parachutes, so Johnny doesn't have a parachute. Johnny needs to stop Bodhi. Bodhi jumps out of the plane with a parachute. Johnny, grabs a gun. He jumps out of the plane, and he goes to catch Bodhi. And then he holds the gun to Bodhi's head, and he's screaming like, pull the chute, or whatever. And then Bodhi's like, no, because you gotta drop the gun to pull the chute yourself if you want to do it. So that's how that scene goes. And the acid in your mouth line, I think that's referencing like lactic acid buildup when somebody's like sprinting or something, a really intense sport, and you feel that burning everywhere, and it's just that burning desire to win and to just finish. It's like an athletic thing. And in the context, Johnny Utah, the FBI agent, has like a burning desire to catch this famous career criminal. And, so I don't think it's gay. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Jesus?
Still sounds kind of gay.
Thank you. You're a good man. You got good taste. You're a smart dude.
How is it even remotely a fair debate if Eric just calls in surprise guests and I'm
This was Ross's idea. I just followed through.
To be fair, I think that the distinction between desire and homosexuality in this case is not to per se call the characters gay for each other, but I would think that the analogy of homosexuality would really only sort of enhance the meaning of the connection between them, right? Not in the sense that they're gay for each other, but the sense that one desires the other so badly it is almost like a homosexual
Hey,
relationship.
Ross, can I call a surprise guest too? Can I let Sam talk?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He might disagree with you. I don't know
Bring Sam, bring.
Sam the man.
Yes!
Whoa! Oh, we can't hear you, Sam. Sam, we can't hear you.
Buddy, I think you're
Turn on your mic. That's a long finger you got there. Mine are short, little stubby things. Yeah.
Think how far that one could reach.
Oh, God. Jesus, I'm going to have to kick you out. You're going to get me flagged.
Oh, hello? Can you hear me now? Yeah. Oh, it's because I play bass. Alright. Alright, so, I heard... I've like, for this whole debate, I've been thinking about, my own personal experiences in terms of, like, love and in terms of relationships. And, for a time in my life, I thought I was gay, right? That's just the fact of the matter. And, I had this... I thought I was confused about my feelings. I didn't know what was going on. And my best friend of, like, my entire life right now, I was like, I think I have a crush on him. Like, what is going on? Like, how do I feel about this person? And at some point I realized that I didn't, I came to the realization that I didn't love this person romantically. I loved him as a friend, right? I had no sexual desires for him ever, but I had those emotions because he was my friend. Like, that's what Haas been saying this whole time regarding Bodhi and what's the other guy's name?
Johnny Utah.
Johnny Utah. Bodhi and Johnny Utah. They're rivals. They're friends. They might love each other, but that's not gay in the slightest. Thinking back to, like, my past relationship, that was romantic feelings. That was true, like, romantic, right? There was sexual tension there. Whereas, like, with my friends, with my best friend from high school, with everyone from college, I have no, like, sexual tension with anyone, but I still love them all the same. Right? And is that gay?
No, that's a valid point.
Sam.
The point.
That was a nice speech, Sam.
Wait,
The line. the lines between, I mean, love and sexual attraction and the different types of love that you can have is kind of a blurred line, and they all sort of mishmash together a little bit, but they are separate things. But that's not to say that one is per se like holistically different than another.
And I really, please correct me. I don't mean to be disrespectful of your experiences, but did you ever say to your friend, "You know, you want me"? It's like acid in your mouth.
Oh my
Well, I think
God.
okay. Here's my thing with that, Eric.
Again.
He's explained this multiple times, and you keep bringing it back up like that point hasn't been shut down already.
But again,
That's my thing on that. I'm not even going to encourage you to bring it up again. I'm going to say it's exactly what Haas said before, is that it's the idea of like rival competing, acid in the mouth. Who wants acid in the mouth, and how is that gay?
Eric,
Are you talking acid like the drug? Like how are you talking, Eric?
Eric, let me just say this, right? Remember, this is a debate. Neither of us are going to change our minds. This is for the audience. We've already both discussed our points at length. The fact that I haven't convinced you to change your mind does not mean that the topic needs to be brought up again. That's
all right. That's fair. I won't bring it up again. It's just a funny line to quote.
so. Yeah, I don't know, dude. The way I see it, they're just brothers, man. So I'm just gonna end my portion. I'm just gonna quote the line, you know, "Yo, Johnny, see you in the next life, brother."
Yo, Johnny! I'll see you in the next life!
Yeah, very deep material for a Naughty Potato video.
It's very deep for Point Break.
Don't start this with me, Eric. I was so ready to talk about like the Book of Tao and like Buddhism and all this shit. Don't even get me started. Don't call Point Break not deep. That's a different debate. It's a different debate.
I think this is the most intellectual discussion that has ever been had over the bank robbing surfer movie in history. And I don't think that this record will be beat anytime soon.
No, because I'll just talk about Buddhism the next time, and then we'll get way deeper.
Yeah, Johnny Utah's a Buddhist or something.
I literally did like a project in my sociology class about this movie.
All right, that's the podcast. Thanks, Jesus, for hopping in and, you know.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I want to kill you so bad it's like acid in my mouth.
We'll get Haas and Eric in a room with masks on because of the commie cough, and you guys will just brawl it out. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah,
subscribe. Pickle Rick.
I love the mountains. I love the clear blue skies.